Either western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, very dry. We've had fires still burning in Mississippi and Louisiana. And, we had rain, but it's not enough to put out fires necessarily.
That's right. And these are active wildfires. There's a lot of them in Louisiana, parts of Mississippi, and even areas in North Georgia and nearby Tennessee. So we've got to be very careful about how we deal with these conditions, because the weather on some level may be trying to help, but it's not going to help everyone at once.
Yeah, it was a tough day yesterday with all that wind out ahead of the system. Really raised the red flag concerns, red flag warnings. And actually so much so that they had to close some campgrounds here at the Great Smoky Mountains. There's a couple of campgrounds closed. Some of the favorite roads were closed too, like the road to Clingman's Dome. And so we are getting rain today. The Park Service is going to assess later today and see a nice looking end of the week here, but the fire danger, I think, will still be there.
Fire danger will be there. This rain is going to be helpful, but not going to eliminate the problem. There's no doubt about that. And the wind, Jen, you were mentioning, through this afternoon, we've got some high wind alerts, watches and warnings all the way up through from northern Georgia through parts of the mid-Atlantic.
Yeah. Okay. So wind is still going to be a factor even with the rain today. Let's look at where we are right now with some of this wind. Behind the front, that's sort of one of the sneaky things about these fronts. You come through, you think you're going to have better weather, and then it's windy. Houston gusting to 26 miles per hour.
Yeah, this northwest wind is also very dry. The dew points are pretty low. This is post-cold front northwest wind. That's maybe a good thing. It clears out the rain, but it's a bad thing in terms of the amount of dryness and the fire threat. But the rain that did move through with the front was on radar estimates up to a couple of inches in spots, better than nothing.
Yeah, I saw Macomb, Mississippi, 3.06 inches of rainfall. That was a record for the date. And we're seeing some really heavy rain in northern Alabama this morning where there is a flash flood warning. A couple inches of rain already, and there's still some light rain falling.
Indeed, it's going to be moving through, but unfortunately, this is not enough. It takes a lot of these types of events in order to eliminate the fire danger. But you know what? I guess a little bit is better than nothing. The drought is still in place.
I mean, 2 or 3 inches of rain is not going to erase this. We're still running more than 20 inches behind in Louisiana and Mississippi when it comes to rainfall needed. All right. Well, of course, we're following this story for you this morning. We're also watching this rainfall and the blinding rain making travel difficult late last night in Louisiana in the south that we're talking about. We're also tracking some snow, maybe even ice in the northeast.
This may not be, unfortunately, weather-wise, the day to hit the road. You might want to consider waiting some of these conditions out. They will improve as we get closer to tomorrow and Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah. For most. There's a couple spots you want to avoid, like Idaho, Wyoming, where we got the snow coming in for Thanksgiving. But other than that, everyone else's weather does get better here. But we got to get through today, and you might not really have a choice, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you have your flights scheduled for today or tomorrow.
That's done, yeah. No options there.
No options. You got to go and take it on the chin.
Yeah, all right. So let's talk about the south and where the rain is now, where it's going, what kind of atmosphere we're working with out here. Right now, it's kind of warm and humid. We've got dew points that are up in the mid to upper 60s, near 70. This is kind of like a, late summer, early fall kind of air mass out there. So, yes, it feels humid, but this also means that we've got some moisture for the atmosphere to tap into. So that's going to mean heavy rain at times. We're watching that through southern Alabama, southern Georgia, the Florida Panhandle. I mean, all of this is coming in. You see a couple of lightning strikes out there, not a lot, but there may be more, and there is that risk for some severe weather here. There is some instability still across parts of the south, so we'll keep an eye on that potential out there, and if the radar does get here increasingly active. Now, we're also watching for the chance of thunderstorms perhaps extending through Georgia, South and North Carolina, maybe up into Virginia. Again, not a big threat for severe weather, but it's there. We could have some gusty winds, might be a few isolated spin-ups, especially down here, Montgomery, Dothan, Mobile, Pensacola. That's where we have a 3 on the Torcon for today. So the risk lower than it was yesterday, but it's not zero. Make sure you are ready to get warnings. Rainfall has been heavy so far this morning in northern Alabama. That's one spot that we've been keeping an eye on, any flash flood concerns. That's going to be a tough drive getting up there into East Tennessee, where we've been talking how we so desperately need rainfall, but it comes today on our busiest travel day. Western North Carolina, too. Rainfall coming in through the afternoon. So this is not a one and done kind of thing. Little shower activity this morning, and then you might get a break, but there's more to come. And so this afternoon, we've got showers, potentially some heavy at times. times with thunderstorms as we see that last push of the sort of area of storms ahead of the front come through. Charlotte, you get that. Around Columbia and Augusta, we get that as well. Coming in this evening about 8, 9 o'clock and continuing to move through the Triangle and Raleigh, Chapel Hill. This is about midnight tonight here. Again, getting the front approaching, and ahead of it is where we'll see some of the heavier rainfall. We're going to be watching for that potential of flash flooding. Anywhere that we get training of thunderstorms with the bigger rainfall rates, we could have some issues. Ponding of water on the roads. For travel problems, that's going to be an issue as well. Tomorrow, we're still hanging on to some chances of storms here, especially in eastern North Carolina, out towards the Outer Banks, down towards Wilmington. We've got that risk of thunderstorms here again, and some heavy rain potential as well. We've got a lot of rain this morning in the Midwest, heading all the way up, now moving into the Northeast, Greg, where it's cold to start this morning.
It is chilly dogs.
Be on the lookout for a natural hazard falling from the sky.
Yep. Meteorologist Chris Warren explains how fall leaves can increase your chances for having an accident and what you should do if you find yourself driving on this slick surface.
The Atlanta airport, and there's no spots. I'll be dropping them off later today. You know, we've got the rain out there across the east, which is going to be a contributing factor with all the volume, and that's going to create some delays on the roads and in the air. First, looking at road travel, some of the rain has been heavy at times already. There's a couple of spots in northern Alabama. Keeping an eye on for flash flooding. We're going to have to watch for that concern all across the east today, and just wet roads make it slower, and you should slow down here, and hopefully there's not accidents that slow it down even worse. Air travel, we already have some delays out there, though nothing bubbling up at any one specific airport. Looking at the numbers, Atlanta Airport has the most delays of any airport right now here, but nothing so significant that there's a ground stop or a ground delay program or anything like that. We do have some issues tomorrow, too, still lingering in the southeast. Some rain here, maybe even a few thunderstorms. Northern Florida, we'll keep an eye on that. Northeast, we'll have some lingering rain, at least for the first part of the day, though it does get better later in the day, which is good news for travel. There may be delays that start your day that continue through the day, but if not, I think the afternoon should recover. The wind would be one factor, which could maybe still delay some of the New York City airports even after the rain is out. And then looking ahead to your Thursday, Thanksgiving Day travel, most of the nation great, except in Idaho and in parts of Montana, where we've got snow coming in. So you want to change your travel there to try to avoid that snow and all the issues it can bring. We have the risk of severe weather again today here, so let's take a look at that. And you're watching southern Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, chance of thunderstorms, and we do have actually the risk that some of those will go severe. There could be a few isolated tornadoes, spin-ups. You know, watching that chance of thunderstorms in Atlanta, and maybe possible thunderstorms that could go severe all the way up through North Carolina as well. You know, most likely it's rain, but just can't rule it out. So I want to make sure that you are ready for that potential out there today. Temps are going to be on the more mild side. That rain is going to be heavy at times. It's humid, actually. Dew points are up in the 60s. That heavy rain at times will lead to travel issues on the roads and could also lead to air travel issues, too. So we've got the potential for delays in Atlanta, Greenville, Charlotte, Raleigh, all have that risk for today with the weather that we have going on. Looking better in Nashville. Your rain is on its way out. Still keeping an eye on Texas. Even though the weather has improved, the rain is over, but now we still have some gusty winds, which could create a few air travel delays there. Looking good tomorrow, though, here. If you're driving Interstate 20, Interstate 10, a lot of these stretches, I-42, will be good. The spots to watch for the wet weather is going to be into eastern North Carolina, into southeastern South Carolina, and then into northern Florida, like around Jacksonville, maybe even towards Tampa and Orlando. We could get into showers and storms. That may cause some air travel delays there. We'll keep an eye on that for you tomorrow in Jacksonville and Orlando. Busy airports this time of year for sure. Orlando especially. Now, we've got the chance of some airport delays too in Raleigh again tomorrow, but improving. Atlanta, I mean, tomorrow's Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It'll be a busy one volume-wise, but weather-wise we'll be improving here. So with the risk of severe weather affecting travel.
Right on that one. Yikes.
Ooh, all right. Well, let's say neither. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us through the mid-morning hours on America's Morning Headquarters. It's another day of storms in the south, and this comes after a day and night of severe weather like we had. This is some of the reports. Some of the reports from yesterday. We saw damaging winds. We saw some tornadoes across parts of Louisiana and Mississippi. It didn't get going until later in the afternoon, which is kind of what we thought. It was kind of taking its time, but once the afternoon and evening kicked in, we saw the severe weather. Yeah, and you know, we had about 20 reports of that, including 5 tornado reports. And in Cottonport, Louisiana, a police officer pulled 3 people from a mobile home destroyed by a possible tornado. A flash flood warning was also issued as the rain continued to fall, leaving behind at least 2 inches of standing water. Indeed. Now, we want to show you 2 different. So that's the good news here. They've been very hit or miss, and that 750 is adding up all of the airports. So I would say despite all of this mess, we're doing pretty good here on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Right now, though, the rain has been falling, and it's been falling pretty steadily in Detroit. We've got winds that are gusty, too. Winds are gusting here to 21 miles per hour. Cleveland gusting nearly 30. Erie gusting to 46 miles per hour. What a day out there. And it's 39 degrees and raining. Oh, boy, you are trying to keep dry if you're heading out there. I don't know, with that kind of wind. Pittsburgh, too, we're dealing with some wind along with that rainfall. Now, temperatures there, Pittsburgh, we're well into the 40s, so we've warmed up a little bit. There's still some pockets where I think we could have a little bit of either freezing drizzle or maybe some sleet, maybe even snow. I'm watching places like Wilkes-Barre and Scranton, especially because you were so dry that everything was evaporating as it first came into the area, and that can be a cooling process. So that's going to be one spot I'm watching. Everyone else is warm enough that it's rain, but it's a chilly rain, like in Lynchburg, 40 degrees. Charleston in West Virginia, we've got rain with temps in the 40s as well. Some of the rain has been heavy at times. Here in Alabama, Jackson County is still under a flash flood warning. This is one spot that we've been keeping an eye on all morning. Now, the heaviest of rain just moved east. You can see that, but there's still some yet to come through, and that's about to come through Huntsville right now. So we're going to be watching that zone here and keep an eye on any concerns that come out of it. We have had a few thunderstorms, but not many this morning. There may be more. That background color, the red, shows us where we could have possible severe weather. We've got rain right now moving right through all the 38 beaches, whether you're in Rosemary or Seaside. It is just a drenching morning right here, and I'm sure Highway 98 is not an easy drive, but there may be a few thunderstorms even up towards Montgomery. At Macon, we could get a few thunderstorms too before that whole back edge comes through, so beware of that. Oh, Greg, what else are we finding here across the south?
Well, we are going to be watching some of the severe weather.
I want to show you how things are playing out and why they're actually playing out the way they are here in the Midwest. The same dip in the jet stream that Greg was talking about right here. This is going to be bringing us some of those cooler temps in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, where we're going to find temperatures here staying on the chilly side. And to the north, we've actually had a pretty strong high pressure up here over the northeast that has kept us very cold. It's cold to start this morning, especially if it's not raining or precipitating yet. And that's going to play a role in getting us some wintry weather up here. Greg's going to talk more about that. I just want to look at the rainy side of things because rain does take over for a lot of us. Like in Pennsylvania, I mentioned Scranton. There's a chance that we do start with a little bit of freezing rain or even some sleet, but then we change over to rain probably pretty quickly. Well, do the same thing for us around the Capital District. Might start with a little bit of a wintry mix in the area, especially when you go outside of the area up to some of the higher spots, but then changing over to rain. Same thing for a lot of us, but not all of us there. And again, Greg will talk about the snowy side. The rain, though, hangs on into tonight, into tomorrow morning, even into tomorrow evening. We still have a few showers left in southeastern New England, perhaps down around the southeastern Virginia coast as well, like around the Hampton Roads area. We've got some showers sticking around through your Wednesday night, but Thursday is looking much better pretty much everywhere. So that's your good news for travel. If you're doing the 30, 40-mile drive to get to Grandma's house on Thursday, it shouldn't be any major issues at all here, at least weather-wise. Now, rainfall for today, heavy at times. We've got rain 1 to 2 inches here at least. I think Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia are going to be some of the heaviest of rain that we'll see. Could get 2 to 3 inches of rain here. And then when it comes to the snowfall, it's a little complicated. So Greg's going to talk more about that. Greg, it's not clear cut that we stay as the wintry precip for the whole event, so it could be sloppy.
That's such a good point because, yes, we have winter precip in progress now, but later on today, in many locations in Pennsylvania, New York, it's going to go over to all rain later on this afternoon. Mm-hmm. Hold on if you can. Yeah. Good news. Wait on those travel plans. Jen, thank you so much for that.
Nation's airports as millions of passengers hit the airways today across the country. It's expected to be one of the busiest seasons in recent memory as more Americans travel post-COVID. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve has a look at the holiday rush from Newark Liberty International Airport. We'll today show you when some of the other busy spots will have what they will have weather-wise. Let's jump south here into the I-20 ride from Birmingham to Atlanta. The worst travel day by volume is supposed to be Friday. Weather looks great. We are looking at no rain. The sun at this point will be coming out. We'll be looking at dry conditions out there. The worst travel time, 5 o'clock, and expected to take 4 hours and 2 minutes. That's a lot longer than it should here, at least by an hour or two. Now, D.C. to Baltimore, the worst travel travel day by volume expected to be tomorrow. Worst travel time about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We are lucking out because today is a terrible weather day across this stretch of I-95. The rain, heavy, there'll be wind, etc. Gone by tomorrow. We're drying out. Expected this route to take from D.C. to Baltimore about an hour and 13 minutes or so. So we'll have more on travel throughout the day right here on America's Morning Headquarters. Keep it tuned.
That is really terrifying video.
Yeah, I know, and time lapse. But, you know, we've got a number of fires. Mentioned that in Virginia. We've got Western North Carolina. East Tennessee is really dry. Had a lot of red flag concerns up there.
And Louisiana.
Yeah.
I mean, this area has been so dry for so long. It's not just what's happened over the last couple of days. Yes, we did get some rain, but this is from the summer and the drought that we had that is still with us to this day.
Yeah. You know, the Great Smoky Mountains, because of the dry conditions and because of all the wind that we've had, there's closures. The Park Service closed campgrounds like Elmont and Cater Cove. Klingman's Dome Road is closed as well. No campfires allowed right now. They're going to reassess this afternoon, and we are getting rain today, and we'll get some more tomorrow. But then it dries out again.
And it dries out again,
yeah.
And that may be a while. We have to watch and wait because not one weather system is going to cure the problem. We need a whole lot of these, unfortunately, to, I think, reduce the fire threat significantly. But the wind is not helping. These are alerts this afternoon. The higher elevations of North Georgia and, of course, up the Appalachians, we're going to see some gusty winds today.
Yeah, really windy through here, and that doesn't help with the fire concern. I mean, again, we've got rain, so maybe today that limits if it's raining. You're probably not going to get new fires burning. But, you know, look, it's not going to necessarily put out the old fires, and it stays windy behind the front even.
Behind the front. This is what Jen's talking about, that northwest wind. It might look good in the sense that it clears out the rain and brings the sun out, but that's bad in terms of the drought and the fire. That northwest wind is dry, and we're going to look at the forecast, I believe, here going through the afternoon today.
Look at Beckley, West Virginia. Winds gusting 50 to 60 miles per hour. Elkins, I mean, gusty there as well. Even over here in D.C. and look over towards Norfolk, Virginia. Very windy here, all feeding into the system. And so that in itself is going to bring some issues, maybe even travel issues.
Yeah, and it's going to be likely through today and tonight. I think that northwest wind that comes in, a little less aggressive, but still it is a drier air that it's coming in, not good for fire concerns.
Exactly. Well, let's check in on conditions now. Where it's not just rain and storms that we're talking about here in the south. We're also tracking some snow, not in the south, but to the north, and maybe even a little ice in the northeast.
I know, it seems like it. We're going to see some of that today, of course. And this is not the day necessarily to hit the roads across parts of Pennsylvania, New York State. You might want to consider waiting it out, especially if your temperatures right now, you're looking outside, we're at or below 32. Hang on for a couple hours. We're going to warm up. Conditions will improve, especially later on this afternoon and as we get closer to Thanksgiving.
That really is critical, and that's a good point about checking your thermometer, your temperatures, because it's so localized, the issues that we'll see up there in the northeast. The rain in the south, it's been pretty widespread, so I'll start with that and show everyone what you can expect here. It's been raining through Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina now. The rain on the move into North Carolina, some heavy at times. We're going to be watching for some of this to actually increase because we have the chance to get into some thunderstorms here throughout the afternoon and even evening. At the moment, it's been mainly rain. The only thunder and lightning is out over the Gulf of Mexico. Dew points are up, though. I mean, it's humid outside. You step outside. We showed you the view that we showed you from Water Sound was right down in here where you're in that really heavy rainfall, and your dew point is up near 70 degrees. So it's kind of sticky, humid out there. Same thing in Apalachicola and Tallahassee. That's going to feed into this and give us that risk for some heavy rainfall. Also give us the risk for a few thunderstorms, especially if instability increases a little bit more. Right now, it's kind of confined here to the Gulf Coast, but we could see that instability rise in central and southern Alabama, Georgia, and that could lead to a few thunderstorms with that possibility of some severe weather. Rainfall, I mentioned the heavy rain concerns. Well, we've had that this morning in northern Alabama, including around Pleasant Groves and Princeton and Skyline here in Jackson County. This flash flood warning goes until 11:15. The heaviest of rain has moved out, but look, we've got more to come in. Right now, it's over Huntsville, and it will be tracking east, just moving slowly. So you still got a little bit of time out there. Now, today, the zone to watch for the possibility of storms goes all the way from the Gulf Coast, stretches up here to Virginia Beach. So from Pensacola to Virginia Beach, the risk of thunderstorms, if there are severe storms, more likely it'll be down here a little further to the south. There's a 3 on the Torcon today. Montgomery, Dothan, Pensacola, you're all in that. Water Sound, Seaside, Seagrove, all in that as well. When there's a 3 3 on the Torcon. It means severe thunderstorms are likely. A few tornadoes are possible, and tornado watches could be issued. Not definitely, but something that is you got to just be ready if you need to take shelter, know where you would go in the case of a tornado warning. We've got rainfall out there this morning. Let's show you how it evolves through the day. Atlanta area, a few showers out there now. Believe it or not, this afternoon could be rainier as we see this line come through. Don't be surprised with thunder and lightning embedded along that. Rainfall from Charlotte to Raleigh through the afternoon coming in one batch, and then a bigger batch here with this line comes in about 8 or 9 o'clock or so. Again, heavy at times here. If you're doing your grocery shopping tonight, you might want to avoid this here. It's going to be pretty wet out there. Now, that's what's happening in the southeast. Let's jump up to the Midwest, Greg.
Yeah, of course. Now, with the low visibility and rain, sometimes we can get some slippery roads. Meteorologist Chris Warren explains how fall leaves can increase your chances for having an accident and what you should do if you find yourself driving on this slick surface.
Across the east where all the rain is falling, I'll tell you what, despite that, we've been showing you traffic cameras, we've been following delays and have not seen any major issues. Hopefully we keep it that way. Rain does make it more challenging with all of the volume. Thunderstorms are a possibility too. We'll see that potential, especially into the southeast, Atlanta, Pensacola, Tallahassee. You've got some storm chances, and rain extending all the way up the I-95. Really complicated in the northeast because some of you will be starting with some snow or even some freezing rain before changing over to rain. Others hanging on to the snow in northern Vermont, New Hampshire. So that's where driving is going to be very tricky today. If you can wait till tomorrow, I probably would. It will improve. Now, at the airports, no delays right now. We do have 750 delays, although that's adding them all up together, and it's really not much at any one airport. So I think overall, so far, so good, despite the rain that we have out there. We're going to watch the wind and the rain be an issue still tomorrow. Northeast, even though a lot of us, the rain will be falling early in the day and then it leaves, we'll have some wind out there, some gusty northwest winds, which could be a tough wind angle for maybe those New York City area airports. Otherwise, I mean, Florida, that's going to be a trouble spot. We've got Jacksonville and Tampa and Orlando, all with the chance for thunderstorms. That could mean some delays. It also could mean delays for you up around, again, those northeastern hubs here. We'll keep an eye, I think, on Newark and LaGuardia in particular, just because of that northwestern wind angle. And Cleveland might have a few issues, again, still staying windy behind the front. Let's fast forward to Thanksgiving Day here. Traveling east, central looks good. West coast looks good. Northern mountains is where we do have thunder, some snowfall in the forecast, and that snow could definitely be a travel hazard here. If you can avoid travel, I'd go a day early. Just get there. Be safe. More about, though, what you can expect in the southeast today, because here we have thunderstorms and rain that has been heavy at times already. That's going to make a mess out there on the roadways. Ponding of water, the chance for hydroplaning. You will need to reduce your speed, so it might slow your trip down a little bit. Rainfall throughout Georgia, Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, some of it heavy at times. Now we're done with the rain. Back to New Orleans. Dallas, we're dry today. San Antonio and Houston, we are going to be dry today. A little windy out there behind the front here, but otherwise that's the only issue. Florida looks good as well. You land in Tampa, maybe you're heading over to the beach. You're going right to the beach. It's going to be a beautiful day. Temps will be in the 80s. Now, as we look at some other spots here through the southeast, like the rain in North Carolina, that could cause some airport delays. Keeping an eye on the Raleigh-Durham Airport, also Charlotte, that potential for delays, and of course Atlanta, biggest airport. We're going to be, I think if we get through today without delays, that would be pretty lucky. We do have a lot of weather and volume. Bad combination. Now, here along the eastern seaboard, especially eastern, north, and South Carolina, tomorrow even Georgia. I-95 is going to be a wet ride still. We have thunderstorm potential out there. Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, that could mean some airport delays. But the rest of the southeast, including Atlanta and Nashville, Memphis, all looking good tomorrow weather-wise here. I think, at least from a weather perspective, you shouldn't have any major travel issues. And then driving on Thursday, everyone gets sunshine and dry conditions here. With the risk of severe weather, though, affecting travel this week. It's another day of storms in the south after a day and night of severe weather. This is what that looked like. Yeah, we saw a whole lot of that yesterday afternoon and evening. We saw reports of damaging winds. We saw reports of tornadoes in both Louisiana and Mississippi, kind of where the Storm Prediction Center said it was going to be. Yeah, right in that circled area. We had about 20 reports of severe weather, including 5 tornado reports. And in Cottonport, Louisiana, a police officer pulled 3 people from a mobile home destroyed by a possible tornado. You can see the rain coming down, too, and there was also a flash flood warning issued as the rain continued to fall, leaving behind at least 2 inches of standing water.
Indeed. And, we want to show you two different views of some of
the weather is as we take a look at that. We've got rainfall stretching from the south to north, with rain coming in heavy at times around Cleveland with gusty conditions. Look at these winds gusting nearly 40 miles per hour, 37 officially there. Erie, we are gusting over 40, 41 miles per hour. This is not because of a thunderstorm. It's just that windy here with our big low pressure system. And, this whole system lifting up through the area is bringing with it, yes, some wind, but also some more mild air. I'm going to put that in quotes because, look, 42 degrees is not mild, I know, but it's not freezing, and that's critical, like we have in Pittsburgh. You see all of this pink and blue on the map, and you think, oh, there's a lot of freezing rain or maybe snow. There is some, and you need to be cautious of that, watching the temperature really closely. But you notice places like Syracuse and Scranton, we're above freezing. Scranton, we're at 37 degrees here. The key is it's actually not precipitating yet. It's so dry. Our dew points were in the teens this morning. But when you have evaporation happening, like it's happening right here, that can sometimes bring the temperature down to freezing. And that could be happening in spots other than at the observation site. So beware. There might be a few slick spots here. Don't get surprised by that. Eventually, we do warm up and change over again because we have all that wind bringing up the more mild air. Again, keeping that in quotes because it's not that warm. It's just not freezing. It's a chilly rain, let's call it that. Lynchburg, 41 degrees. Charleston, 49 degrees with rain out there. Scattered showers actually coming into Raleigh now. Virginia Beach, it's 63 degrees, but it's very gusty. Winds are gusting to nearly 30 miles per hour. We've got rainfall through the south. Montgomery, it's still raining as it has been all morning. Temperature 68 degrees. Now, the background color where we have the red, the bright red, indicating the risk of severe weather possible there. There's a chance in the lighter red color. But, we've got temps in the 70s, dew points in the 60s. It feels very much like almost a springtime air mass. It feels maybe like early March day. But we'll see the rain first. Later on, we may see a few thunderstorms pop across this area. So that's something that we have to keep an eye on through the day today. Be ready for that. Could get some heavy rain out of that, kind of like we're seeing right now, right along Highway 98 right here in the Florida Panhandle. It is a soaker of a morning here with still more to come. So that's what's happening across this area. Let's forecast and talk more about what's coming our way, Greg.
Yeah, we should do that, Jen. You're right. And, howling wind.
Let me show you more of what's happening up here where the dip in the jet stream, the same dip that Greg was talking about, and the strong winds associated with it in the south here, we're underneath that. So some cooler temperatures have been able to move in. We're actually feeling that mostly in Wisconsin right now as your temps are dropping down here. It's on the chillier side out there. It's been really cold up here to the northeast where we've had a high pressure that has just locked in some cold air over northern New England. Some of that has seeped down into Pennsylvania, northern Jersey, and that is setting the stage for some issues this morning with the type of precip that you've had. Now, overall, though, it is mostly rain, pockets of some freezing precip, either coming in freezing rain or even a mix of sleet or snow, possible northeastern Pennsylvania. We've got northern Michigan with that kind of issue as well. You saw the camera there in Gaylord. But temperatures are everything here. So if you're at 34 or 33, I mean, it's probably going to be mainly rain. Now, we're warming up in the east, so our transition will be going in that direction. Temperatures will be cooling down, but will be drying out here across the western Great Lakes here. So that's key in terms of any travel issues. Let's focus in on the rainfall. Some of it heavy at times. Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey. Tomorrow morning, we still have rain out there. We'll see that across New England, especially southern New England. Some snow to the north. Greg's going to focus in on how that snow plays out because that, too, is complicated with this whole weather system. And then by Thursday, we all get to dry out. So it's today and tomorrow that we've got all of the weather headaches to get through. The rain is going to be your biggest one out there today. Whether you're running errands, trying to get to the grocery store, you'll have the combination of the crowds and the rain out there giving you some stress. 2 to 3 inches of rain a possibility. I think that's going to make I-95 pretty slow going, especially as volume picks up out there. And then there's snow. So let's talk about that, Greg, where, some of you starting off with maybe some freezing rain, then some snow, some changing over to rain, but not everyone. Some people keep the snow.
Yeah, some people keep the snow, and some people keep, as you mentioned, the freezing rain a little longer than the forecast suggested. Jen, that's such a good point. Thank you very much, because right now across parts of central Pennsylvania,
it is crunch time at the nation's airports as millions of passengers hit the airways today across the country. It is expected to be one of the busiest seasons in recent memory as more Americans travel post-COVID. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve has a look at the holiday rush from Newark Liberty International Airport. There, seeing that view. Now, travel-wise, Newark, a mess today with the rain coming in here, so we'll see how they do with delays. What we're watching for, though, as we get you from Chicago to Milwaukee, today improving weather, and tomorrow, which happens to be the busiest travel day in terms of volume, so it's called the worst travel day, 4 o'clock. Looking good. No weather issues. It's expected to take about 2 hours, and that's, of course, volume related here. Not weather won't be a big factor. Let's look at D.C. to Baltimore, where today our weather will be going downhill as the rain continues to move in. Our worst travel day, meaning with volume, is going to be tomorrow, for the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and that time is 2 o'clock, so right in the middle of the day. Expected this route to take about 1 hour and 13 minutes, but at least the weather will be improving here. That rain will be moving out if there is any left over very early in the day. Jumping south here, for travelers from Birmingham to Atlanta, the worst travel day is expected to be Friday, about 5 o'clock. Now, expected to take about 4 hours and 2 minutes on the stretch of I-20, which is a lot longer than normal here. So expecting volume to be the biggest factor. No weather in the forecast here, anticipating some good travel conditions weather-wise. Let's go over to San Antonio to Houston. For us today, a little windy, but our worst travel day, the most volume, is going to be on Sunday, and that time is about 4:45, taking about 4 hours plus for this route. At least the weather will help. Is behind in some spots like in Louisiana, where we have numerous fires still burning despite yesterday's rain.
Louisiana, Mississippi, parts of Georgia, nearby areas of the southeast. Yeah, we have that rain coming through. Jen, that's such a good point, but it's just not enough. We need a lot of these events in order to really reduce that fire risk.
Another spot, East Tennessee, a lot of fire danger there. And actually, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park has some closures because of the fire risk here. Yesterday, they decided to close campgrounds like Elmont and Cater Cove, the road to Cleveland's Dome, among others, closed too. Again, the fire risk was the big reason why. No campfires allowed. They're going to reassess today. We are getting some rain today, and we'll actually continue that overnight into tomorrow, but then it dries out again. So the fire danger is still going to be a concern, I think.
Yeah, the weather may be great, but not good for the fire threat overall. That's unfortunate for parts of the Western Carolinas. Now, look, we have wind advisories. Now, this goes through this afternoon. It's pretty windy, especially at those higher elevations of Appalachia, all the way from Georgia into parts of the mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, get ready for that wind out there affecting. We're talking about the fire risk, but yes, there'll be rain out there for today. It's when it dries out that you kind of get concerned about that.
That's such a good point, because you were talking about that northwest wind. That's behind the front. Yes, that's going to clear out the weather, get the rain out of the way, but it's a dry northwest wind. The dew points are lower, the relative humidities are lower, and that's going to not help out that fire threat.
Yeah. Now, just on the windy side of things, it's going to be really windy and raining, which is definitely complicated out there when it comes for travelers. Look at Beckley and Elkins, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds.
Yeah, and even along the southeast coast of the U.S., right, we've got that southeast wind that is going to be in play all day today, not until that front clears out. Yes, the winds behind the front out of the northwest are maybe not as strong as they are ahead of the front, but still they are drier and really not helping us out with those lower relative humidities.
This is the rain we've had over the past 24 hours here, and the rainfall in Mississippi and even southern Alabama on the order of 3+ inches, some of you more than 5 inches of rain. So look, that would be nice to get that in some of these drier areas.
And there goes the rain. We're going to get some more accumulation in the mid-Atlantic, but we're done here in parts of the deep south.
All right, let's go to the Midwest and check in on conditions at Chicago's midway stops or ground delay programs or big backups on interstates, at least that have been reported through. I mean, it's overall, you guys are doing good with the rain.
I feel like we should have seen airports stacked up, but we're not. There's free and clear. Keep them going.
Yeah, let's
How
see.
about that?
I'm going to just say fingers crossed, because I'll show you how much rain is still yet to come. And it's not just the rain and storms in the south we're talking about. We also have some snow and maybe even ice in the northeast.
That's right. And that's maybe not the day to hit the road today. You might want to consider waiting this out a little bit in parts of the northeast. Conditions will improve, I think, even later on this afternoon and evening in Pennsylvania and New York State, and especially for everybody as we get closer to Thanksgiving, even in northern New England.
Yeah, if you're trying to weigh which day should I go, some of you, tomorrow is going to be better than today, So we'll look at that. I'll start in the south.
Yeah.
I need to appreciate how warm it is, especially because we showed that 42 degrees and rain there in North Carolina. It's really not bad temperature-wise here in the south. Dew points are up in the 60s. Maybe it's too humid for you. You might be complaining about that. Dew point is 71 in Apalachicola right now. The rain is out here. Now, that's been a problem all morning long around Destin and all of the 38 beaches. Panama City, it's been raining. We don't have rain yet over here towards St. Augustine and Jacksonville. I think tomorrow, that'll be your time to really get into the showers. But it's been raining, too, up in Atlanta and northern Georgia, northern Alabama. The showers have been pretty persistent all morning long. Some of it heavy at times, but not any thunder and lightning. In fact, that's all been confined over the Gulf of Mexico. That may change as we get through the afternoon hours. Your instability has been building a bit. You kind of see that moving north. That's a background yellow color. So it's possible we get a few thunderstorms. It's possible that we actually get some severe weather. There's an isolated chance of a tornado spin up, especially in this area in red down here. This is where we have a 3 on the Torcon. Montgomery, Dothan, down through the Florida Panhandle, including around Pensacola and back towards Destin. Again, that risk today. And it's a 2 elsewhere. Even Charlotte and Columbia and Augusta, your main mode of precipitation is going to be rain. But a thunderstorm is possible, and an isolated severe storm is possible as well. When we have a 3 on the Torcon, it means severe thunderstorms are likely with a few tornadoes possible, and tornado watches could be issued. Remember, if you remember from yesterday, talking about a watch is issued when things start to look interesting for the possibility of storms. Warnings are issued when they are either occurring or imminent in your area, and that's when you need to seek your shelter. Today, we've got a lot of rain chances out there. Look at East Tennessee and western and central North Carolina. A lot of rain coming through. At times, it's heavy. At times, it's not raining, though. Like, look at Columbia and Augusta at about 3 o'clock. You might think, oh, we're done. Not so fast. We've got more showers coming in with this line. This is the main event. This may bring some storms with it. Charlotte, for you, it's about 8 or 9 o'clock or so comes in. Columbia just after. We'll be watching for that moving east while you are sleeping. So Raleigh about 1 a.m. That might be a rumble of thunder that you hear out there that wakes you up. This whole system extends into the Midwest and Northeast, Greg.
It does, and we're seeing some unsettled vibes, so that's going to slow us down. The weather may also do that, too.
Yes, if you're hitting the highway, be on the lookout for a natural hazard falling from the sky.
Meteorologist Chris Warren explains how fall leaves can increase your chances of having an accident and what you should do if you find yourself driving on these slick conditions.
That out there today here. The fall just seemed to last so long, didn't it? With all the leaves on the trees, it felt like forever, and still some out there. And well, now they're coming down with the rain and all the wind that we have. Really windy conditions across the east today, along with this rain, will make things complicated, of course, with the leaves, but also just with travel in general. Roads are going to be wet. I-75, 85, 95 here, top to bottom. We've got rain pretty much almost the entire way. Now, for folks who are traveling by air, there is that potential for delays. We could see that at the New York City area airports, combination of wind and rain through the day, increasing intensity. Same thing at the D.C. area and Philadelphia airport there as well. Atlanta areas made it through the morning. So far, so good. Surprised that we haven't gotten to any ground stops anywhere or ground delay programs here, but it's been mainly rain without thunderstorms. I think that's helpful when it comes to air travel. Now, tomorrow, looking mostly better. We still have some rain hanging on here across the east. I-95 will still be wet in South and North Carolina, Georgia, down into Florida as well. There may be a few thunderstorms. Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando, those will be the airports to keep an eye on. And even though the rain will be ending through the day, there still could be some delays in the Northeast. I think rain mainly leaving JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, but the wind might still be a factor in creating a few airport delays there. Now, Thanksgiving Day looks pretty good in most spots. There is one big exception, and that is in Idaho and into parts of Montana and Wyoming. This is where we'll have snow that could be heavy at times, accumulating on the roadways, making it very difficult for travel. That's a spots like Stanley, Idaho, maybe even Pocatello. You might want to consider going Wednesday instead of Thursday so you can get there and be safe. Some of that, I think, maybe could affect air travel. We'll see in Salt Lake City, de-icing delays, that kind of thing. But overall, Thanksgiving Day almost always pans out to be a good day for travel, and the weather will certainly help with that this year as volume will be lower. Then the Friday afterwards, that snow that I was talking about moves down into Colorado. Tough travel there, watching the interstates. And Florida, Greg, we've got some rain.
We do, and we want
more about, though, what you can expect in the southeast today, because here we have thunderstorms and rain that has been heavy at times already. That's going to make a mess out there on the roadways, ponding of water, the chance for hydroplaning. You will need to reduce your speeds. It might slow your trip down a little bit. Rainfall throughout Georgia, Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, some of it heavy at times. Now we're done with the rain. Back to New Orleans, Dallas, we're dry today. San Antonio and Houston, we are going to be dry today. A little windy out there behind the front here, but otherwise that's the only issue. Florida looks good as well. You land in Tampa, maybe you're heading over to the beach. You're going right to the beach. It's going to be a beautiful day. Temps will be in the 80s. Now, as we look at some other spots here through the southeast, like the rain in North Carolina, that could cause some airport delays. Keeping an eye on the Raleigh-Durham Airport, also Charlotte, that potential for delays, and of course Atlanta, biggest airport. We're going to be, I think if we get through today without delays, that would be pretty lucky. We do have a lot of weather and volume. Bad combination. Now, here along the eastern seaboard, especially eastern North and South Carolina, tomorrow even Georgia. I-95 is going to be a wet ride still. We have thunderstorm potential out there. Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, that could mean some airport delays. But the rest of the southeast, including Atlanta and Nashville, Memphis, all looking good tomorrow weather-wise here. I think, at least from a weather perspective, you shouldn't have any major travel issues. And then driving on Thursday, everyone gets sunshine and dry conditions here. With the risk of severe weather, though, affecting travel this week, ending as we get through the day. Rainfall affecting air travel as well here in terms of maybe the low clouds, making you not be able to land as many flights. So that could be a reason for some delays. We're going to have, I think, the potential for delays at all the New York City area airports, Eastern Pennsylvania, D.C. area airports, a chance for that. Tomorrow, the weather is improving. There's still some rain left around, especially the first part of the day. Got to keep an eye on New England for that. Southeast, there'll be some rain potentially throughout the day. So some of our North Florida airports, Jacksonville, even Orlando, we've got that chance that maybe there could be some impacts here. We'll have to keep an eye on that for any potential delays. If you're driving, I-95 would be one to watch here for rainfall, especially again for the first half of the day to the north, to the south of the mid-Atlantic. That might linger a little bit longer. Well, we also have our next system coming into the northwest here, and that's going to be bringing some rain to Seattle, potentially affecting travel there. Let's hit the roads here for San Antonio to Houston. The busiest day is actually going to be Sunday, and at least for travel today, we're looking pretty good. The forecast here for all this rain that's coming down. Look at all of this out there, stretching all the way through the Midwest and Great Lakes and Northeast. We've got rain in Erie, Pennsylvania, with a temperature of 41 degrees and the wind, which every hour keeps getting stronger. We were starting gusting in the upper 30s. Now we're gusting to 43 miles per hour. Oh, what a day there. Cleveland, we are rainy and windy too. Winds gusting to 31 miles per hour. Pittsburgh, we're gusting to 24. Now, Williamsport, we are at 37 degrees, wind gust of 20. That's key. Let's keep us above the freezing mark here. I think with those winds, that's going to keep ushering in generally warmer weather. But you notice on the radar, you've got this pink, which indicates perhaps some freezing rain here. And it's there's some valley locations where some cold air is likely stuck in place. I think in other spots like around Scranton, where our temperature was at 37, but the dew point was so low. And when you have moisture that comes in and you start precipitating in a dry air mass like that, it can actually bring down the temperature and it can bring it down to freezing. So there's, a couple spots it might be a little slippery out there early today before the warm air takes over at all levels. We've got plenty of warm. I'm going to put warm in quotes because it's not warm, but it's just not freezing warm, but warm across Virginia. So temps in the 40s, and you won't have any icy problems there, just rain. We've got Knoxville at 55 degrees and raining. Again, we've been asking for the rain, so here you go. Atlanta, we've got more rain too. Also another spot asking for rain. Temps are in the mid 60s here as well, and it's been a wet one so far today. There is a chance we could get into some storms. That's the background color that we have on here. So with that, Greg, let's talk more about the forecast. What's going on in the south today?
Some severe weather risk continues.
Drive in it. Oh, it gets tricky quick. Now, the trough, the big dip in the jet stream that Greg was just talking about here, and with reference to the severe weather in the south, we've got that same dip up here. And what that's doing for us around the Great Lakes is allowing some temperatures to cool down, some cooler air to come on in. Out ahead of it on the eastern side of it, we've just got a lot of energy helping develop this low pressure. So it's a strong low. There's a lot of wind. Case in point, Erie, gusting to 43 miles per hour right now. It's going to be a windy day from Pennsylvania to western New York here. Throughout Ohio, you're going to see some gusts gusty winds. Those winds bringing up the moisture all through the mid-Atlantic, Pennsylvania. I would say all roads are going to be pretty sloppy today for most of the day. We don't really get to dry out at all. This is 7 o'clock tonight. Some of the heaviest rain at this point will be across eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, down to the tri-state area, New York, into Connecticut, Rhode Island. We've got rain heavy at times through the overnight, and tomorrow morning it's still raining up here. So whether it's 95 or 93 or 91, all are going to be wet. There will be some snowy portions of this to talk about. Greg will get to details on that. Now, through tomorrow, we'll see the rain start to push out. Couple of showers still left behind, perhaps across the highlands of western and central Pennsylvania down to West Virginia. I would say they'd be very scattered in nature, but you still could see them, so not completely dry. Thursday looks completely dry. We've got a nice Thanksgiving Day forecast all throughout the entire Northeast and Great Lakes and Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic. So that's the good news. The bad news is we've got to get through today, and there's just a lot of moisture potential with this system. I mean, we've got that moisture flow right up here into the Mid-Atlantic. 2 to 3 inches of rain is a possibility. Again, some of that could come with some bigger rainfall rates, which can be problematic. And then we do have some snow in the forecast here. So Greg is looking at that. And Greg, it's a complicated forecast. I mean, cold air is so stubborn.
It is stubborn, and the models are usually too aggressive and optimistic about getting that cold air at the surface out of the way. So we deal with freezing rain and ice longer than...
I'm at the nation's airports as millions of passengers hit the airways today across the country. It's expected to be one of the busiest seasons in recent memory as more Americans travel post-COVID. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve has a look at the holiday rush from Newark Liberty International Airport. There's a cool perspective there from that operations center. Let's talk travel here into the west, where today we still have some Santa Ana winds to worry about, at least for the first part of the day in Southern California. But the worst travel day, at least by volume, is supposed to be tomorrow for Wednesday, about 4:30 p.m. The trip from Los Angeles to Bakersfield expected to take 2 hours and 59 minutes. All traffic, not weather. We're looking pretty good here for travel weather-wise tomorrow. Let's talk Chicago to Milwaukee, where we still have some showers around today. There might even be a few snowflakes mixed in at times. Now, the worst travel day is expected to be tomorrow, at least by volume. 4 o'clock, the toughest time, estimated to take about 2 hours here for this route. But the weather will have improved by tomorrow, so anything that's lingering today will be out of there. D.C. to Baltimore. Today is a really bad weather day, so thank goodness the worst travel day by volume is actually tomorrow. 2 o'clock is supposed to be the toughest and most challenging travel time. This trip from D.C. to Baltimore likely to take about an hour and 13 minutes. Seems optimistic here, but we will see here. At least the weather won't be a factor. Now, Birmingham to Atlanta, weather improving for you tomorrow as well. But the worst travel day is going to be Friday. So Friday, about 5 o'clock, actually, from Birmingham to Atlanta. That stretch of I-20 expected to take you about 4 hours to make that. Thankfully, the weather will improve by then. All the rain that we have out there today will be out of here. Bit with the firefight here, but hard to say that it would put it out because it's going to take quite a bit of rain. I mean, we'll get a decent dosing though today.
Yeah, we have some fires out there that, Jen, you're right, the rain will help alleviate some of the issues there, but these are fires currently, but there might be some more over the coming days because overall the weather conditions, yes, a little bit of rain here and there, but we're going to see drier times, especially in the weekend.
Come back here. Wanted to bring up Great Smoky Mountain National Park because the fire danger has been critical here. Yesterday with the red flag warnings, they decided they had to close some campgrounds. There's no campfires allowed here at other spots that people are camping. Roads like Clingman Dome Road closed again because of the fire risk. Now, we have rain today, which is good, and they're going to reassess the situation there with those closures, but it dries out again.
Dries out again. You know, behind the cold front, sometimes you might think, okay, finally better weather. Yes, but it's also drier, and that's an issue, and windy sometimes. This is a forecast for today. This is the wind threat that we've got today in the Appalachians all the way from Georgia through the mid-Atlantic, so gusty conditions clearly.
Really windy. Let's talk more about how windy it is going to get. We're going to find winds at times gusting over 30, 40, maybe over 50 miles per hour, especially on the eastern side of all this. But behind our system, behind the front,
right here.
Yeah, it's a dry wind.
It is. These northwest winds, maybe not all that strong at these select locations, but once you get up a little bit with some elevation across parts of the south, you're going to get those gustier winds, and they'll be very dry as well. That's no good news. This is the forecast going this afternoon into this evening.
Yeah, so look at Beckley, look at Elkins, 40, 50 mile per hour winds. I mean, even looking at D.C. and Norfolk, Virginia, we're gusting 35, 40 miles per hour. This is all with that southerly flow coming in.
Right, and you know what? That northwest flow that follows that south wind that Jen was talking about may not be showing up here as much, but trust me, it's a dry, breezy threat, which is not good. We did get some rain, which helps a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we got needed rainfall in Louisiana and Mississippi. Some of it was too much. We had 2, 3, 4, even 5 inches of rainfall. So we'll see just how much we get over here as we get into our rainy day today.
Indeed.
Well, let's check in now on conditions. Well, it's not just rain and storms in the south we're talking about, also tracking snow and maybe even ice in the northeast.
And this is not the day to hit the road. You might want to consider waiting it out. Conditions will improve as we get closer into Thanksgiving. For many of us, the weather looks much better than it is today.
I just got a sneak peek at your radar that you're going to be talking about, and I describe it as like an atmospheric battle that is happening. What precip type will win?
It's so hard to forecast precip type because if you could just, if you're off a couple of degrees, it matters the world. You can either be rain.
1 degree. We're talking about 1 degree.
Right. Rain, ice, or snow, 1 degree or 2 degrees matter, and it's so hard to forecast that.
So I guess the south is a little easier. Plus, it's warmer. I mean, we've got 60s in rain, better than 40s in rain.
Indeed.
I'll take you through the south and show you what we are working with right now, rain-wise. The rain has been moving through spots like we showed you water sound, and I'll show you what the radar looks like. Yeah, I mean, we're actually in a nice break. So that's right in here where, look at that. We've got some better weather right over the Choctawhatchee Bay. It's not raining. It's still pretty humid outside. You have to go for a little walk now that the rain has taken a break here, and just know we could still get more, because you still have these showers, this line of showers back here. Dew points are still in the 60s. New Orleans, Mobile, we're still at 70. Until the dry air comes completely in, we're not quite done just yet. Atlanta area, we've had our bouts of heavy rainfall so far. A few more showers still yet to come here. And actually the main line, that back edge out ahead of the front, that still has yet to come through and will come through later this afternoon. There may be some severe weather. We've got a chance of that, especially in southern Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, including a water sound in Panama City, like I was just showing you there. That risk will be mainly damaging winds, isolated tornado risk here if there is any. It's a 3 on the Torcon. It's a 2 on the Torcon through Macon and Columbia, up through Raleigh, even southeastern Virginia, like around Norfolk. So we've got that risk. On a day with a 3, it means severe thunderstorms are likely with a few tornadoes possible, and tornado watches could be issued, but there may not be either. I mean, it's that kind of day where you just wait and see how the atmosphere responds to what it's been doing this morning, because so far today we've had a lot of rain, and that's kind of kept things stable so far. Now we've got that forecast with showers and possible thunderstorms. Atlanta coming through about between 3 and 5 o'clock. Tough for a rush hour on a busy travel day anyway. You're going to be watching Charlotte storms come through about 7 or 8. Augusta just after that time, and then tracking east overnight. So while you're sleeping, Raleigh, the storms come in, showers, some rain, heavy at times. Richmond, you'll see that. I mean, travel overnight on I-95 will be a mess here, but at least it will be overnight. So hopefully not a lot of folks are thinking of doing that travel. Some of the rain could be heavy at times. The rainfall rates could be bigger, and that could lead to some flash flooding concerns. We did see about 2 to 3 inches of rain over there in Mississippi when we had some of the biggest rainfall. Eastern North Carolina tomorrow, isolated chance of some showers that could go severe. We'll watch for that here. Look, early in the day. This is 5 o'clock. It's a mess of rain out here. 9 o'clock, still raining. Wilmington, it's pouring. But if you just wait until the afternoon, it will be improving, and we'll see some better times for travel. All right, let's talk northeast and that mess on the radar that we were alluding to, Greg.
Yeah,
falling from the sky.
All right, meteorologist Chris Warren explains how fall leaves can increase your chances of having an accident and what you should do if you find yourself on this slick surface.
We do have some rain out there across the entire eastern seaboard. Luckily, we have not seen a lot of major backups or delays Just yet. Day is still young, isn't it? We've got rainfall potential, maybe heavy at times because of thunderstorm chances in the south. Rain will be heavy at times through Virginia today. I think that could slow down your travel. It should actually slow you down on the roads here because of all the water coming down. We'll also watch the northeast. We've got a little bit of everything out there with even some snow up into parts of northern New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and that will be complicating travel today. Airport travel overall, we've been fine so far. We've had some delays here and there, but no big ground delay programs or anything like that. Still keeping an eye on Atlanta, keeping an eye on the northeast airports between the rain and the wind that is going to be picking up here. That is really what could create some of the bigger issues. Tomorrow's travel will be getting better. It does start on a wet note. We'll see that through the eastern half of North and South Carolina, northern Florida. We have some thunderstorm chances into Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando. That could mean some air travel delays there. And again, we'll just watch that wind in the northeast maybe create still some travel issues as the rain does pull out throughout the day. So we'll see improvement there. Northwest, we see rain in Seattle on Wednesday, and that is the next system coming in, which is a snowmaker in the Intermountain West, in Idaho, in Montana, in parts of Wyoming, and that's going to be a big travel issue. So you may want to, in fact, I urge you to consider traveling earlier so you don't have to travel on Thursday. Some of the snow could be heavy at times. That could affect some air travel, but then that moves into Colorado by the time we get to Friday. We've been watching some thunderstorms over the Gulf of Mexico, and now one of those coming ashore here in the Florida Panhandle, right near Tyndall Air Force Base. There's a tornado warning on this cell. May have started with water spouts over the ocean, but now we're watching this as it comes in. This includes parts of Bay County, including Callaway and Parker and Springfield. This goes until 12:15 local time. You can see how the cell itself kind of has that kidney bean shape here. Not quite a hook, but generally giving you that. Let me do a different color. As you can see that shape to it. And we right in here that we kind of watch for that rotation and that possibility of a tornado. So this is something that we've been watching, monitoring it coming in off of the ocean. Again, that potential perhaps for a waterspout over the water. Now that it's moving onshore, waterspouts become tornadoes over land. So that's the area that we're watching here. The whole cell itself is moving to the northeast at 20 miles per hour. So we're going to be tracking this along with some heavy rain with it as well, as we've been watching all morning long. Some very heavy rain over this area. Here's a look at that. And on the reflectivity, which is what this is, you can see where we have those bright reds and oranges and even yellows. That's where we have the bigger rainfall rates. And again, looking at the shape in here, you kind of see that sort of kidney bean shape to it, right in the crook of that, not quite hook that we're watching for that potential rotation. Tyndall Air Force Base squarely right in the middle of this as this cell continues to move to the north and east at about 20 miles per hour. We're tracking it here. If it holds together, it might cross Highway 22 right there. This is within a zone that is under a 3 on the Torcon for today. So there is that risk of storms that may pop, that may rotate. There may be a few tornadoes today. Here's certainly a possibility given some of the instability that has been building already. We've actually got a 2 on the Torcon that extends up through the rest of the southeast, including in Georgia, like around Macon, Augusta, and then up towards Raleigh and Norfolk and Virginia even. There's a slight chance of some thunderstorms. We'll keep an eye on that particular cell down there in the Florida Panhandle. We also have snow, and some light snow came down in Colorado. We'll show you what you can expect here with 8 to 12 inches of snow in spots across Wyoming. We've got Colorado getting into some of that too, mainly at bigger elevations. Northern Utah, including in the Wasatch, we've got some 8 to 12-inch snows, potentially at some of the highest spots. I think more likely at the 5 to 8. But look at Idaho. We've got, at least 3, 4, 5 inches of snow, maybe even 6 or 7 in others. And that's going to be a real travel hazard. This starts in overnight Wednesday into your Thursday. So now we've got snow on 15, snow on 84. You might want to try to plan ahead and leave early. Leave on Wednesday so you're not driving in this on Thursday. Throughout the day, you've got snowfall there. Snowfall throughout Wyoming, spreading down into Colorado on Friday. This could be a very difficult travel day on Friday because of that snow, whether it's on 70 or 25 even. We'll be dealing with some of that snow throughout Friday and then continuing into Saturday. At that point now, the system will be heading out into the plains where we'll have some snow there, maybe even on 76 heading out into the high plains there in Kansas. So watching the Northwest here for our Thanksgiving Day travel issues. It starts tomorrow with a little bit of rain there along I-5. We'll see some rain spreading inland to possibly in pockets across eastern parts of Oregon and Washington state. But then again, the snow, as I mentioned, is going to be, I think, the bigger travel issue on the roadways, which starts late Wednesday night, continuing into Thursday. And that's the day that so many interstates could be dealing with some snow. Maybe it's not even so much the interstates as some of the smaller roads you might be traveling, which might not be plowed, and the snowfall rates could be falling at a fast enough clip that they will be accumulating, and maybe quickly. Also watching air travel. Salt Lake City, one to watch on Thursday. On Friday, we have some snow coming down here, temps in the 30s. This is all great news if you are planning to get in to some of these resorts that are just opening for the Thanksgiving weekend. So it's good to see the snow. I know from that perspective. It is tough for travel, though, so definitely keep that in mind. Try to get there before the snow begins. For you in the Denver area ski resorts, you want to get there Thursday before the snow comes in on Friday. You got your Saturday forecast here. Still some snow showers around down in some of the higher spots into Colorado and southern Colorado in particular. But I think it'll be rain in Albuquerque. And we've got temperatures heading up to the upper 40s for you there. There may be a few delays, something to keep in mind there for your Saturday travel. The rest of the West looking good on Saturday, not anticipating any major issues, whether you're heading back home on Saturday or Sunday. I think we'll keep the good travel conditions.